Just let it slip a little bit. Why is 90% of the Grand Canyon off limits? Well, they'll tell you it's for ecological reasons. Wrong, because the U.S. military is literally on the rim, drilled into certain caverns that they identify through all their technical abilities, and extracted giant mummies. There's a legend that Mark Antony and Cleopatra, when they knew they were in big trouble with Rome, they sent their son Alexander Helios to the west with 50,000 of their most trusted servants, scientists, etc. And for the record, they absolutely knew how to circumnavigate the globe. The idea of isolationism was pretty much the foundation of the Smithsonian by John Wesley Powell. So in other words, it was important for the idea that nobody traveled any place to keep the false narrative going, because there's even evidence of the Chinese in the Grand Canyon and some of the caves, statues of Buddha, for instance.
Now Forbidden History Revealed by Steve Quayle really talks about this man, John Wesley Powell, his comings, his goings. He operated on a premise. And his premise was that there is a certain historical narrative that we want to preserve for the Americas, and any other historical narrative we're going to hide away as quickly as we possibly can. Now, to say that is one thing. To see this is another thing indeed. Because when I watched your production, it suddenly became real. At the visceral level, this whole thing, and I said to myself, I now understand for the first time how all of the conspiratorial ideas that the world has had are locked together into one idea, and that is to hide biblical truth.
That is the conspiracy.
That's the bottom line.
And the word I was given by the people that fight the things that go bump in the night is that, remember, it's never what you see on the surface, but what's underneath. And so when we're talking about the history of the Grand Canyon, now this is what else is interesting, Gary. The giant mummies were taken to Area 51. And it's fascinating that Area 51 has gotten the, what would you say, the fame it has.
So were they taken there in a flying saucer?
Yes.
I just have to ask.
Yeah.
But no, I'm kidding. But I guess we need to laugh a little bit, because this is such a bizarre and dark motif. You almost have to just take a deep breath and look away once you begin to realize how we have been manipulated.
Well, and it's a matrix of manipulation, okay? It's like, imagine a giant tapestry where every thread is evil, where every thread is designed to deceive, to destroy, and then weave it all together, and I think you've got the end times. Now, again, the reason that this is so important, because in this DVD, I go into the eyewitness testimonies of the genetic altering and genetic engineering labs using giant DNA and basically creating hybrids and creatures. If you remember this, that even the rumors of the golden age of Atlantis and Hyperborea, Ultima Thule, Shangri-La, all of the, if you will, legendary mystical places, they even have in their oral tradition, or at least the legends about them, that they were destroyed by the gods, plural, when they got into genetic engineering. And that's interesting, because we're talking about a long time ago.
And we all remember the story in the Bible where Moses and Aaron go before Pharaoh, and Moses has the rod, the famous rod, and he throws it down before the Pharaoh in order to demonstrate the power of God. It turns into a serpent, basically putting the finger in Pharaoh's face. This is what you are. You're a serpent. And what happens? Pharaoh calls the wise men, the sorcerers, the magicians of Egypt, and they did in like manner with their enchantments. In other words, they threw down rods that turned into serpents as well. And so right here in Scripture, you have to believe it. If you believe Scripture, that it is possible to transmute an object that is not living into a living being through occult power. And my Bible says it, I believe it, and Moses confronted this power. Now that power you're saying has extended all